Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the open session for the Carroll County, Maryland Board of Commissioners for Thursday, October 16th, 2025. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I certainly hope everybody is doing well today. It is a beautiful day outside. And so we'll start off with priority. Carol, who goes first this week? Was it you, Commissioner Guerin, or was it Commissioner Krebs?
I think it's me this morning, but
all right.
but I don't have anything for priority, Carol. So I'm gonna go ahead and cede my time. What's the proper terminology? I'm gonna give my time to Commissioner Gordon. Maybe I don't know. I'll see what he says first, and I'll decide if I want to give him my time.
Since it's priority, Carol, I got to start out with a very important question to Commissioner Vigliotti this morning. I want to know. I had a stylish 3-year-old pick out my tie, and I want to know if you thought this tie is acceptable for today, or.
That is a fantastic tie.
Well, I will let her know that you felt the.
I wish my style. I wish I had that kind of style.
I might be able to set you up, but I do appreciate that, and I will definitely pass that along. But I do want to mention a couple things from the past week or so. Obviously, a lot more we could talk about, but I'm going to try to keep this relatively short. Last week, we had the Traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall, which was here in Carroll County, which was an exceptional event. I hope a lot of people I know did get to make it out, and I know for those that did not, there's a wide array of videos and also photographs online. Myself and several fellow commissioners, Commissioner Kyler and Commissioner Krebs, were on hand to issue a proclamation for Babylon Vault for all that they do in our county. An exceptional organization that has done so much, not only for the Traveling Wall to be here, but also Wreaths Across America at Christmas time, and just a group that gives a lot back and definitely is a perfect example of who we are as Carroll County residents. Also this past week, got the opportunity to attend the Carroll County Farm Bureau dinner with several of my colleagues. Always a exceptional group there at the Farm Bureau, and it was good to hear some of the conversations and thoughts of what they're looking ahead at for this year, be it on the local level or also from the state legislative level as 2026 moves into place. Also want to wish a congratulations to McDaniel College, which received a record $15 million gift from alumni Jonas Eshelman, which is launching a new campaign. And it's an exceptional gift. I think it's probably one of the largest, if not the largest, gifts they've received. But kudos to McDaniel for receiving that, and to the Eshelman family for sending that. Also, this past week we had a few minutes, and I stopped over at Carroll Hospital. We recognized Emergency Nurses Week, so had the opportunity to interact and talk to some of the nurses over there, and also see some of the new work being done in the hospital as they're doing some upgrades. And I have to mention this as well, since I mentioned McDaniel this morning. You know, we have a lot of nurses in Carroll County that come from our education, which includes the community college. So it's great to see that we're keeping those individuals here in the community and they're giving back in their professions. And then certainly last but definitely not least, there's 2 events tonight. If anyone is looking for anything to do this evening, Care Healing Center is holding Lighting the Way for Survivors, which will be a vigil this evening. That will be at Belgrove Square at 6 p.m. They'll be lighting luminaries. Would suggest anyone that is available, please feel inclined to turn out for that. That starts at 6. And then later in the evening, the Historical Society is holding their latest Shaken and Stirred event over at Covalent Spirits, also starting at 6. This one pertains to ghost stories in Carroll County, and I'm sure we're going to get to hear some fascinating comments and stories from some of our locals. And that's all for me. Thank you.
Awesome. Commissioner Krebs?
You always got a lot because you got the big town of Westminster, right? And we all go to all that stuff in Westminster. But down in District 5 in South Carroll, Piney Run Park had their fall festival last weekend. I understand it was a very successful day. Luckily, they had good weather. So all those people that turned out, it was very large crowd. I think they enjoyed it. And this weekend, we're having the Main Street Fall Festival in Sykesville from 12 to 4. That is always a great event, and the leaves are in perfect, they're just turning. So take advantage of our beautiful main streets all over the county, but this weekend is down in Sykesville. The Farm Bureau, I was there last night, all of us at the Farm Bureau dinner, which was excellent. It's always great to hear from our farmers and see what's going on in our county and how involved that they are and the hard work that they do. So we appreciate that as well. I think that's all I have. Oh, one other thing you mentioned about McDaniel and the nursing program at community college. That's a new program. They've been putting it up for like the last 2 years at McDaniel. We do need nurses, but the thing that I think is beautiful about it is that they're working together with the community college, and that the hospital is taking them to do the internships and what they need. So it's all right there, and they're using some of the, what do you call them? It's the lab that you can do the recreations of the, what's it called? The simulator, that's the word I was looking for. The simulation lab. So the economies of scale that are going on in the collaboration between the college, the four-year college, the AA degree you can get in nursing at our community college, and the hospital is just the way things should work, and they do work very well. So thank all of them for that. That's all I have.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Krebs, and I will do my best to be brief as well this morning. So the first thing I want to do is I want to apologize for being sick and being absent last week. I'm still in the process of catching up on emails and calls and things of that nature, and I'm working on doing so. I want to thank all of my friends up here for their prayers and their kind words last week, and I want to thank everybody who reached out to me over the course of the past week with their prayers and their kind words as well. To start off with, the other week I had the pleasure of representing the county and receiving the final payment installment from New Windsor Fire and Hose Company No. 1 for a loan that was taken out 20 years ago to construct their fire hall. We are incredibly grateful to see our friends from New Windsor, including Marcy, Ed, the Coes. We're all incredibly grateful for our relationship with our volunteer companies and for the vitally important work that they do. And I think this is probably important to point out that a lot of what they do is they self-fund themselves, and that's why it's so important and incumbent on all of us to support our volunteer fire and EMS system because we need those volunteers. They are such an asset to us. They help strengthen our system, and we cannot get along without our volunteers. So second of all, while I am sorry to have missed the opening night ceremony for the Vietnam Traveling Wall, again, due to being sick, I did have the privilege of getting out there over the weekend, and I cannot join my colleagues enough in complimenting the dozens and dozens of volunteers who came together to make the wall possible, from Tammy Ray of Babylon Vault Company to the veterans organizations, the mayor and council of the town of New Windsor, to individual volunteers like Angelica Da Vinci for all that they put into the experience. And Angelica, who is in the large coat here, she received a special citation from the governor for the sheer amount of work and effort that she put into making this happen. So congratulations to her on the award of that citation. I cannot compliment all of them enough, and I want to give credit to Angelica for providing the photos that you are seeing here. And last but not least, I had... Oh.
That's it. I haven't seen it.
Yep. Last but not least, I had the pleasure of attending the Harvest Fest at the Carroll County Farm Museum over the weekend. The turnout was incredible. It was a beautiful day. I was able to join Jane Sewell in delivering a proclamation for the oxen, the Farm Museum ambassadors, Jack and Jim, on their 10th anniversary being at the Farm Museum. They're always a big hit with visitors. They're very gentle. They're very friendly. They're always very ready for a treat, which Jane certainly happened to have on hand. And very, very last but not least, I will mention also briefly that I had the pleasure of attending the Farm Bureau banquet the other night along with my friend Commissioner Krebs, my friend Commissioner Gordon, my friend Delegate Tomlinson, who's here in the photo with us. Wonderful, wonderful evening, and Commissioner Krebs very capably talked about what they do. And so that's all for me this morning. And
Say one more thing.
oh yes, please, please.
If you're finished.
Yes, please go
I
ahead.
just wanted to mention about the wall. I know we keep talking about the wall. I think it's one of the best events we've ever had in Carroll County. The first night, they believe there were over 750, somewhere between that and 1,000 people were there. They had 600 chairs set up, all full, standing room only. It was just something to be proud of. I would have gone every night if we hadn't been going to visit our grandkids in Boston, because it was that good, because they spit different speakers every night. And Babylon Vault, they should be proud of what they brought to our county. Our county supports our veterans big time. A lot of Vietnam veterans were there, a lot of, and older gentlemen, and it's just so, with such pride. So I probably wouldn't, I don't know if we'll ever have it again. It was the biggest, I think this is the biggest gathering they've ever had in New Windsor, and it might have been in the county, but it was unbelievable, and I'm very proud of us for supporting our veterans.
Very well said.
And I hope that somebody taped it. Good, because I would like, I would like to send that out to relatives and friends, and just to hear the comments of the speakers, at least the night that I heard them, were just incredible amount of history. Oliver North was there the first night, and one of our, what was it, I forget the title, another one of our veterans that got a big award, Purple Heart, or, that was a different award, sorry. But I'd like to send that out, get it out there, because it was really worth saving.
Very well said, very well said. And Commissioner Krebs, I do believe you have a proclamation for White Cane Day.
You guys can, I'm going to read this, and then you guys can come up, and if you want to sit at the table and say something, and then we'll take a picture. But I'm going to, forgive me because I forgot to bring my glasses, but I'm going to try to do this. So today is White Cane Day, and first I'm going to introduce some folks we have here with us from the National Federation of the Blind, called NFB, of Maryland. Chris Nussbaum is an assistive technology trainer for blind and low vision people for the state of Maryland, and does a great job of that. And with him, we have Derek Day, Vice President of the Maryland National Federation of the Blind, and Dee Krasniewski, is that how I say it? Krasniewski, is that correct? And she's a member, and also Meredith Day. And we have a very active chapter here, and we appreciate it. I'll read this for you, and then I guess we get a picture, and then you can go back and sit down. We make it as easy as possible. Proclamation, White Cane Day, October 15th, that's yesterday, 2025. Whereas the white cane, which every blind citizen of our county has the right to carry, demonstrates and symbolizes the ability to achieve a full and independent life and the capacity to work productively in a competitive employment. And whereas the white cane, by allowing every blind person to move freely and safely from place to place, makes it possible for the blind to fully participate in and contribute to our society and to live the lives they want. And whereas every citizen should be aware that the law requires that motorists and cyclists exercise appropriate caution when approaching a blind person carrying a white cane. And whereas the state of Maryland also calls upon employers, both public and private, to be aware of and utilize the employment skills of our blind citizens by recognizing their worth as individuals and their productive capacities. And whereas the state of Maryland, through its public agencies and with the cooperative assistance of the National Federation of the Blind of Maryland, can and should facilitate the expansion of employment opportunities for and greater acceptance of blind persons in the competitive labor market. Now, therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners of Carroll County, do hereby proclaim October 15th, 2025, as White Cane Day in Carroll County, and do call upon our schools, colleges, and universities to offer full opportunities for training to blind persons, upon employers and the public to utilize the available skills of competent blind persons and to open new opportunities for the blind in our rapidly changing society, and upon all citizens to recognize the white cane as a tool of independence for blind pedestrians on our streets and highways. Adopted the 16th day of October, 2025, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, signed by President Kenny Coward, cannot be here today, Joe Vigliotti, Vice President, and Commissioner Tom Gordon, Commissioner Mike Gurin, and myself, Susan Krebs, and we welcome you to come forward for a photo, and then you guys can sit at the desk, the two that want to speak.
I'm ready.
Meredith, can you stand next? Oh, you need a cluster, that's fine.
You can come over the picture too.
No, thank you. I'm just the mom. And the treasurer. And the treasurer.
Treasure is important.
Yes.
All right, everybody ready?
Yep.
Excellent.
Get us in the right
Yep. All right.
Eyes this way, eyes this way.
All right, here we go. And even. There we go. All right. Thank you.
No, that's okay, I'll just go back. Oh, I'm sorry. Here we go, and here's the desk. Is he gonna be in the middle, or?
They can talk on microphones. Just tell us.
So Derek, you go and then me.
Thank you.
You got it? Sure.
Yeah,
We're rolling.
got it. Okay.
So I'm very excited and happy that we were allowed to come to a gathering today and recognize an important event. I mean, as a user of the white cane myself, I definitely recognize that it is an extreme symbol of freedom for the blind. Without my cane, I wouldn't be able to get up here to the table to talk without walking into other things and navigating, around. So I'm very pleased that you guys, as the Board of Commissioners, has recognized the importance of the white cane, and I hope that this proclamation will help to spread awareness for such an important tool in our everyday lives. I thank you guys for recognizing it with us, and I hope that between you guys and our Carroll County chapter of the National Federation of Blind, we can do a lot of work to advance the lives of blind people in Carroll County. So thank you guys so much for your support. There's a microphone.
It's right in front of you, Chris. You're fine. Just talk.
All right. Thank you, Derek, for those words. And I would just echo his sentiments. And I want to thank the Board of County Commissioners for once again representing the views and concerns of our blind community and also the work of the Greater Carroll County chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Maryland. The white cane is, as Derek pointed out, a tool for our mobility, and it's a tool that we use every day. But it's more than that. It's a symbol of our independence. It's a symbol of our identity. It's a symbol of our safety. It's a part of who we are. I have said many times that I feel somehow naked when I don't have my cane and I'm outside my home. So I appreciate the recognition of that. And I want to say a word, too, about our sponsor here for this proclamation, Commissioner Krebs, or Miss Susan, as I have known her for longer than either of us would probably want to remember. We met through the Freedom District Lions and other Lions activities, and then she was a supporter of a support group over in Eldersburg, which was formed for people who were losing their vision, and that group kind of morphed into this one about 10 years ago, along with several other people, some of whom are here today, to form the Greater Carroll County chapter of the NFB of Maryland. And so this organization is celebrating its 10th anniversary. And I think, as I'm thinking about this occasion today, that in those 10 years and before, and I'm sure after, this organization and the blind community in this area has had no greater friend than Susan Krebs. I have many stories I could share to demonstrate that, but one I will just share is from very early on in our chapter. I was still in high school when the chapter was organized, and so I was being asked to do some things that I didn't know how to do, and they were kind of grown-up things. One of which was to get a meeting between our people and our congressman. So I was trying to cold call this guy's office, and I wasn't getting anything out of him. Well, finally, I was at a picnic or something or other, and I said something to Susan about how I was trying to do this, and I don't know how to get any response out of him. Well, I don't know what she did, but one day I got this call from a DC area code, and this lady said, I'm calling from Congressman Harris's office, and I understand that you'd like to have a meeting with us, with members of the National Federation of the Blind. And I was kind of caught off guard, and I finally said, well, yes, but how did you get my number? Well, we got a call from Delegate Krebs. Of course you did. That was 10 years ago. And ever since, we joked at our last chapter meeting that there have probably been far too many calls that have from me or from other leaders of our chapter which have started something like, hey, Miss Susan. But all of them have been responded to with such support and such friendship, and we can't thank her enough, and we can't thank all of you enough. We invite anyone who would like to come to any of our meetings or events. We hold our monthly meetings on the second Saturday of each month at Carroll Lutheran. We've got some other events coming up, and we are always glad to be a resource for the commissioners and others in our community on any questions related to blindness or disability issues. But more than that, we just appreciate the support that you're giving us today and in the last 10 years of this chapter's existence. We have no doubt that you'll continue that support for many, many years to come. So thank you.
Chris? Chris, sit down for a second. I first met Chris, and he doesn't remember this. You were probably 3 or 4 years old. I don't remember for sure.
Oh, dear.
He lived in Commissioner Vigilatti's district. Did you graduate from Francis Scott Key?
I did.
Okay, so Chris went all through the public schools, but I met him at a function that he was playing the piano and singing, and he was his feet couldn't hit the ground.
Yep.
And I'm like, who is this child, this beautiful child with such talent? And in later years, we got reacquainted, but that was my first memory of you. I hope you still do that because you were very gifted.
do.
But the Maryland Federation of the Blind, especially our new chapter, is all about independence. It's about being productive citizens and being just like everybody else. And it's so inspiring. And when we started our blind support group through the Lions Club a number of years ago, most of our members were older people who had lost their vision as they'd aged through macular or something else. So it is a different part of their life when this happened, and it's real, and people get depressed about it because they've lost their vision and they are not used to not having their independence. Then we started getting some of the young folks in, and when the young folks in, they could say, hey, this is just how we do it. We just learn to accommodate. So it made our group be inspired, and we did a lot of events with them. We went bowling, and we went picnicking and kayaking and pedal boating and lots of things, and I've learned so much from this group. And if people don't know, Lions Clubs across the world is about blindness, and it's about.
Remember when you took us to early vote?
Oh yeah, early vote. Yeah, that was not. So they've also been advisors in our county. Like, how do we make sure that they can vote and be independent at it, not people know how they vote? So they've helped us learn, what kinds of accommodations they need. Two of their other folks that were in our group that are leaders in the blind community are Lynette and Gary Legates. Gary, a lot of people know from Westminster High because he taught there for 30-some years. And now he doesn't have a white cane. He's got a really nice dog, a couple of them. But both of them have been leaders. And one of the things they also did is went up to Carroll Hospital to say, how do we tell our intake people and to deal with people that don't have the vision? And really learned a lot. And he said one thing people do a lot of times is talk too loud because they think we can't hear, but we can hear. So we have learned so much in the community by the advocacy. And one thing that's an issue, I'm going to bring it up right here, is transportation. And I know that transportation, and you need transportation because you obviously can't ride a bike and you can't drive the car. So I'm going to invite you. We have some openings on the transit council, and I know Brian used to serve on it and did not feel it was fruitful. And I'm going to tell you, if you can ask someone if they would like to participate, and I know transportation to get to the meeting might be difficult, but we've got to find out what those limitations are because we need to provide those services. So I would ask you at least find me one. I have tried to find someone else for some different folks, for elderly folks. But if you could find me a name of someone that would be able to do it, I can get you the information, how often they meet, where they meet, and what that requirement would be, because we want to make sure that we are providing those services to the folks that really have got to have the services. And if we're not doing it, how do we make sure that happens? So, Chris, I'm putting that on you guys, the three of you, to come up with somebody. I think it meets 4 or 5 times a year. I'll get you the information.
We'll get you someone, I promise.
Thank you. And then let us know if you feel like if it's not fruitful, for whatever reason, for limitations, we'll have to find out how we can better serve more folks. So thank you all so much. You're a great inspiration, and thanks for being here.
Thank you guys for your support as well.
Thank you. Would
Absolutely.
anybody else like to say anything? Anybody else want to say anything?
Meredith,
No?
Meredith D.
thanks for the transportation, Mom.
Yeah. Thanks for the free unpaid Uber, Mom.
There you go.
Hey, I paid for my Uber. Come on,
And Mom has the best Uber car ever.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
I know, another thing we did, we watched a, what's it called, audio-described movie of Mary Poppins. You ever seen an audio-described? It's really interesting.
But I'm going to
If
need
anyone
to.
wants
Really
to see an
cool.
audio described version of a movie to be determined, we're doing one at Social at Carol Lutheran Village. What is it? The 18th?
Yeah. on
November
the,
18th, I think.
I don't know. You guys wrote it down.
I know. It's a Saturday. It's whatever Saturday's closest. Yeah, it's the second Saturday of November. And then we'll be at Storytellers in December at as our social. So if y'all want to listen to good music and see some supposedly good visuals up on the stage, you can come to the Carroll Arts Center and see the thing.
Thank you,
And it supports
guys.
charity, so that's good too.
Yes.
Thank you all, you're so great.
And at the movie, we're serving popcorn, too.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, popcorn.
Also, you don't have to be blind to be part of this group. I'm not blind, but I had a multiply disabled child, and one of the disabilities was blindness. And then when I read an article in the Times about how the group was forming and everything, I thought that somebody else, a blind person, might want to join the group, and then I joined the group, and then that person joined the group. So you don't have to be blind to be part of it and to be in it.
And so, for those who can't hear because you're not on the microphone or watching, you do not have to, as Dee has mentioned, you do not have to be blind or seeing impaired to be part of this group. And she is not, and she's part of the group, just a supportive member, and those members are welcome as well. So,
Friend, family, come one, come all.
thank you guys so much. And don't forget
thank you
your
all.
proclamations in front of you, Chris, right there.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being such amazing
Thank you.
representatives.
Appreciate it.
Very much. Subgroup.
Eric, I'm going to hand this over to you.
Now, very briefly, I just want to say, because I have been remiss, Commissioner Kyler is not with us today because he's representing the county elsewhere on business. So I just wanted to make note of that if you saw that Commissioner Kyler was absent this morning. So next we have a proclamation for Community Media Day. And I will be reading that, so if anybody is here from the Community Media Center, please come on down to the front.
It's a tough act to follow, Richard.
Yeah, it is a tough act.
I don't know how you do that, but I know you're going to try.
So I'll go ahead and read through the proclamation and then turn things over to the two of you. So I have a proclamation for Community Media Day, October 20th, 2025. Whereas the Community Media Center of Carroll County provides community members, nonprofit organizations, schools, and government agencies with the resources to produce and distribute digital media content of importance to their local communities. And whereas the Community Media Center plays a vital role in civic participation by providing coverage of municipal meetings, local elections, and community events. And whereas the Community Media Center partners with our local schools and colleges with internship opportunities and celebrates our student athletes with CM Sportsnet's award-winning coverage of local sports and is developing CMS Sports Net Plus, a live streaming service featuring coverage from every Carroll County high school stadium and gymnasium. And whereas the Community Media Center has established Channel 18 as the first local cable access channel in the nation to provide 24/7 coverage dedicated to local sports programming, and whereas the Community Media Center works to preserve our local history, provide a means for diverse communities to tell their stories, and empowers individuals to create content to inform, connect, and improve the quality of life for our residents, now therefore, we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 20th, 2025 as Community Media Day in Carroll County, and call upon all residents to promote the importance of community media, the services and training available at the Community Media Center, and the programming available on cable channels 18, 19, 23, HD 1072, and online at carrollmediacenter.org. Adopted the 16th day of October 2025, signed to the entire Board of County Commissioners. All yours.
Great. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this morning and appreciate and thank the commissioners for this recognition, not only of our efforts but across the country. On the 20th, that the Alliance for Community Media encourages all communities to celebrate and recognize the contributions that we make. And then on behalf of our staff, interns, and volunteers, we thank you for this recognition. Carroll County stands as a shining example of what can be done with community media, and this commitment on the part of you as commissioners and from our county and our municipalities. But it's not without our challenges, as our primary source of funding from cable television related to franchise fees now is dwindling every year, and cable companies are now proposing actually to federal legislation to limit your authority over cable television franchising. So we are concerned about that, and of course we appreciate your support as we go forward with that. But we choose to continue to innovate, to work smarter and harder to protect the First Amendment, amplifying local voices and sharing the stories that celebrate our community. And I have our board chair, Teresa Bethune, here as well. Teresa?
Thank you, Commissioners, for your ongoing support of the Media Center. We do feel it's critical for us to be available to share the voices of the people of Carroll County. I've lived in Carroll County most of my life, all but about 9 months. And I volunteer as a board chair and as a board member because I see that the work of the Media Center is critical to kind of weaving that fabric of all of Carroll County together. And we are grateful for this proclamation to bring attention to that role, and also look for continued support, not just from the county, but anybody willing to help support our ability to do that. So thank you.
Well, thank you both, and thank you everybody at the Media Center for what you do. I mean, it's hard for me to think of an event that I've been to that you guys haven't been there covering, whether it's the 4-H fair over the summer, whether it's municipal meetings, the elections. I mean, you really do a phenomenal service for our citizens. And, I hear all the time that, hey, I saw this meeting online, or the Community Media Center did such a good job covering that. So thank you for and you do it so professionally as well, which I think is really something that needs to be mentioned. I mean, it's you aren't just, in a room somewhere trying to throw together some wires. I mean, you are really professional about how you do things, and I cannot compliment you enough on that.
Well, it takes a team, and I want to thank our crew for that, because they really embody not only our mission, but the professionalism that you mentioned, as ensuring that we can cover it in a way that really brings out the highlights of our county.
Thank you. And at a time when media is under a lot of criticism, some of it well-deserved, you guys are a shining star of putting the stuff out there during election season. You host the debates. You make sure everybody gets to have a spot so people can decide for themselves. You're not telling people what to think and do. And that's what we need from media. It's just giving people information and then letting them decide, not editorializing on the front page. And you guys do a phenomenal job of all of that. And covering, we hear so much bad. The newspapers have everything bad in it. Not the Carroll County Times. They put good stuff on front. But you guys really do highlight what our community's all about, and it really is. We live in a phenomenal place, and there's a lot of positive things going on. We always can make it better, and there's nothing wrong with debate about that. But it really is I hate to say this, like, at night when I go home, if I have time to watch the television, I'll turn that on just because I know it's going to be something positive or something that's not controversial. Who got killed yesterday? It's something uplifting about our community. So it's a way to share all of that with folks and get people involved. So you really do have a And you've been around a long time, Richard. How many years?
Well, now going into 9 years at the Community
I
Media
remember when
Center.
they first started the Community Media Center. We're so lucky to have the building that we have there today. So it's been a community effort getting that done and keeping it. So thank you, thank you,
you.
and all the board and everyone that participates.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I can't say enough. I'll just sort of follow on my colleagues' comments, but I think it's truly inspiring and what you all showcase, be it, it's been mentioned, local news and those type of things, but then also you interact with the community. So whether it's veterans, other members of the community, you spotlight and you not only showcase, but you save those stories for future generations. Because to me, that's one of the challenges we have in life is we typically tell stories. And the challenge is we don't typically keep those stories recorded. And we're so blessed to live in a time where we can actually have the individual's image and voice. It's not just reading a journal or a diary. So I can't thank you enough for doing that. But then also the educational component that you all utilize within the community, the access, the availability for people to learn how to utilize that sort of technology. And I know I've been over at times. I know one time I was over with a group of youth from Boys and Girls Club, and I know that was an exceptional day for them to see, what can be done with media. I think there was like an underwater background at one point and some other things, but just to open eyes up and say, hey, there are things that you may not recognize in your community, but it's available. And truly appreciate the mission that you all do, both the board and the employees and any volunteers and so forth. I can't thank you enough for doing what you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I always enjoy seeing Richard and some of your staff at so many different events that go on around the county. It's always great seeing you and your folks, and I appreciate what you do. And I would encourage people to go to your website because you have so much content on there about oral history, just a general history, all the sports things. I don't know if everybody realizes how much is really there. So if everybody spends time on the internet just browsing things, and when you get a chance, check out the website because it's really got a ton of content and it's very, very interesting. And I appreciate you, like Commissioner Gordon mentioned, you do those interviews and you do those videos and you're capturing them for eternity. And it seems like that's kind of an easy thing to do, but it's not that easily done, and you're doing it, so thank you.
Well, with the amount of media that is out there for consumption, we really encourage people to watch local.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Picture?
Plug the website.
yeah, as was mentioned, carrollmediacenter.org is the place to watch and learn more about our community, and as well as engage in the civic process.
Yes.
And I think we'd be remiss, since you are an organization that obviously you mentioned the cable franchise funding and how that's going. I know you all are obviously, as an organization and a nonprofit, you're looking for members of the community to assist where they can. So just wanted to mention that as well, because you do cover a lot of things that if we didn't have you, we'd be at a loss. So people need to help where they can.
Absolutely.
Appreciate all the hard work you all do.
Very
We
well
appreciate
said.
our sponsors, underwriters, and our donors.
Yep.
And then a shameless plug for board service, because serving nonprofits is an amazing thing. I serve a few. Media Center is certainly one that's near and dear to me. If you've not considered board service, think about it. Come see us. And also just look for ways that you can support us, because everybody has gifts to share, and you may not realize it. And so if you are interested in learning more about the Media Center, please reach out to us.
Very well said.
Absolutely.
Picture?
Please. Thank you.
Not going to be over.
Thank you.
Okay, we've got one more proclamation this morning.
And Commissioner Gordon, I believe that's you, right?
It is me. I'd ask if anybody from the Friends of the Library would like to come up to the table while I read the proclamation. So we have a proclamation for National Friends of the Library Week, October 20th through October 25th. Whereas the Friends of Carroll County Public Library play a vital role in supporting the mission and vision of Carroll County Public Library by enhancing library services, advocating for library resources, and promoting literacy and lifelong learning throughout our community. And the Friends of the Library are community volunteers who donate their time, energy, and resources to strengthen our library system through fundraising, outreach, and advocacy. And their generous contributions enable special programs, events, and projects that enrich the lives of Carroll County residents of all ages. And the Friends' efforts help sustain innovation and excellence at all Carroll County Public Library branches, including educational programs, technology, innovation, and cultural events that foster creativity, connection, and curiosity. And the National Friends of Library Week, celebrated October 20th through the 25th, 2025, provides an opportunity to recognize the dedication, commitment, and spirit of volunteerism demonstrated by the Friends of Carroll County Public Library. And the Carroll County Board of Commissioners wishes to express its gratitude to those individuals for their ongoing partnership and steadfast support of one of our county's most cherished institutions. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby recognize and honor National Friends of the Library Week in Carroll County and encourage all residents to join us in recognizing and celebrating the Friends of Carroll County Public Library for their dedication to strengthening our community through literacy, learning, and service, adopted this 16th day of October 2025, signed the Board of Carroll County Commissioners.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome. I've got with me Katie Townsley. Katie is, amongst all of her other jobs, our liaison with the Friends and our community engagement manager. And we're really pleased to have the board recognize the significant contributions of the Friends of the Library, how they keep us grounded, how they keep us staffed with all kinds of wonderful volunteers, and help us raise money in the community and awareness of the almost incalculable number of resources that the library now provides to the community.
Well, I very excited about the fall book festival
I was gonna
next
say,
year.
we
Were
have
you
a
going to
couple-
mention that?
We have a couple of big things coming up that our friends are going to help us with. We are bringing back Light of Carroll in 2026, and that will be on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. And then we also will be celebrating the 75th anniversary of Davis Day next year. And we finally have a date for that. That will be May 28th. And we've got some really great things in store. We're partnering with the Arts Council and the Historic Society, as well as others, to celebrate that, because Walter and Elizabeth Davis were really what got this library up and running. And then in the fall, September 19th, 2026, we will be bringing the first Carroll Book Festival to Carroll at the Farm Museum. We're very excited. We're working with the team at Park Books on Main, which is who we work with for a lot of our author events. And we'll need a whole army of volunteers for that, so we'll be hitting all of the friends up to come and volunteer, and local groups and schools and everything else. But we're very excited. We've got over 35 authors who have already reached out to us and said, when you're ready for us to sign up, we're here, we want to be there. And this is a reading community. People here love their books. It's why for the last 20 of the last 21 years, Carroll has had the highest circulation per capita in the state. And it's a title we have absolutely no plans on relinquishing at this point. And people love books. They love talking to authors. They like sharing stories. They like reading a book and then talking to all their friends about the book. We've created this whole social community around reading and stories. And a book festival just seemed like the next natural progression in that.
Very, very exciting. I've already received my phone calls from author friend of mine, and he's very excited about it.
That's wonderful.
And
I'm
you
so
continue
glad.
to have events at usually I would imagine, I think it's at Exploration Commons, that if I wait too long, some of them are sold out. And I found that out this week.
We
by
had
the way.
one just this week.
Yes, you did. I
We
wanted-
had Secretary Rothstein come back and in conversation with Jack Carr, who writes a wonderful series of books and former Navy SEAL. The room was full of veterans. It was amazing. And he was wonderfully down to earth, and the two of them had a great military-based conversation that we all got to sit in on and listen to. So, yes, you do have to get your tickets early for a lot of them.
You do.
And I
Has
just want to
been
mention
warned.
about the Jack Carr event with the veterans who came in. So his tour was very unique as far as where it was going. But I engaged with a lot of the guests, and I asked where they were from, and they came from as far as Connecticut,
Wow.
North Carolina, Idaho, Pittsburgh. One lady was driving back to Richmond, Virginia that evening. So it really just shows that Carroll County brings exceptional authors to our community and to draw that economic drive, though also a lot of these folks, they went to dinner afterwards. They went with their comrades and stuff and stayed in the hotels. So the library is more than just books in so many different levels and ways.
Amen.
And the other thing I want to, in addition to my colleagues over here, compliment you about is the presence that you have in the community. I was at Music on the Main 2 weeks ago, and seeing the mobile senior bookmobile, I think is specifically it was the senior mobile bookmobile. And your outreach to the community and your involvement, I mean, it really is commendable. And I cannot thank you enough for being such an integral part of who we are.
It's one of the things we're proudest of. Our outreach department visits daycares, home daycares, daycare centers almost every day, brings literacy events for those early literacy pieces, which now, of course, we have a lot of focus on. We've been doing this for 50 years. Literally, our outreach department turned 50 years old this year.
Impressive.
And that the fact that so early on libraries recognized that we had to get to students before they started kindergarten in order to get those literacy skills. And then we have the other piece of that, which is the same outreach department that has Library Link, which is our senior bookmobile that goes to senior communities and nursing facilities and brings programming and access to all of the library's collections for individuals who may not be able to make that trip, whether it's physically or just they don't have transportation. And they meet with them, every 3 or 4 weeks. They're there. They're bringing books. They're bringing audiobooks. They're helping them with their Kindles and their iPads and everything else, so they can stay connected as well. Because isolation is a real issue in
Yes.
our world today, and that's one of the things we really hope to address.
And that's one of the things where our friends are so kind to be able
Absolutely.
to be with our staff, to be extra morale boosters and whatnot. We have over 500 friends of the library, many of which are lifetime sustaining members. And they're right there next to our staff at these community events, helping in any way they can. They're with us at the author events, helping them. And it makes our job as staff members easier because the burden, I don't want to say it's a burden, it's the wrong word.
But there's a lot of work.
The lift is easier with friends amongst us, as we all know.
And they are always kind and warm and friendly and professional whenever I encounter them at
That's
an
great to
event. So
hear.
they're-
That's great to
And I
hear.
want to thank you for allowing the community to come in and, at the individual branches and let them host events. We appreciate that, and it's another outreach. And I appreciate all that you do and going over and above what most libraries do in most communities. I think we are the leader. Are we still a leader in circulation?
We are. Circulation per capita, we've been there 21 of the last 20 years.
And I think that's pretty impressive. I say that a lot. 20 out of 21 years, top in the state for readership per capita. And I'm sorry, I shouldn't even say this publicly, but one of my goals when I retired was to read a book.
How'd that work out for you?
I'm sorry to
Let
say.
you slow down.
I haven't read that book yet, but thank you to your guys. I do the books on tape while I'm driving because I do a lot of that. And I was doing CDs, and I did not want to sell my car because I didn't want to stop using the CDs, and they don't put them in cars anymore. So I needed a new car, so I finally learned how to download it on my phone. Thank you to your librarians who several times had to show me. So now I still haven't read that book yet. I'm going to have to wait a while. But I still am able now to read the books by listening to them in my car when I'm driving, and it takes my mind off of everything else, like listening to the radio and whatever. So it's really another opportunity for those of us who don't have time to read books. Now, I read lots of other things. It's not books. But I still have that goal someday to actually read that paper.
Read that book. We'll find a nice short one you can get through in a weekend, right? And there's nothing, absolutely, we tell people all the time, it doesn't matter if you read it or you listen to it, you're still engaging with story, and that's what the important part is. And the Friends, as Katie mentioned, we have over 500 people who have joined our Friends. And the Friends help us, they donate toward our programming, they show up and volunteer at our events, and they encourage our staff. They provide cookies for our staff on National Library Worker Day, and that sort of thing. And it just helps our staff realize how important the work that they do is to individuals in the community, which is really what we focus on.
And one of the things I've enjoyed is listening to books on political leaders, their books. And I listen to both sides, and it tells you where they come from. It makes you understand people better, why they have their positions they do. But it's been very interesting, just some history that you've learned. And so I specialize in that, especially when they read it themselves.
I was going to say, when you hear it from the author, then
I
that
love
is
it.
really powerful.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you both coming in today. I mean, we're so fortunate to have such exceptional groups, and I'm going to include both the Friends and the library system because, I was fortunate. I guess it was last year you and I took a tour of the Westminster branch, and of course, as a kid, I got to see part of that branch, but I didn't get to see the behind the scenes. So then to see that was eye-opening. But, the one thing I think that the public has to remember, it's not just a library. Yes, there's books, but whether you've got access to the computers, the printers, Exploration Commons, you all can help with passports. I mean, the library is truly a hub of the community, and I can't thank you and the Friends enough for making that possible because it truly takes a community to make that happen. So I just want to thank you.
Absolutely. We do so many services that are above and beyond, like the passports. We have a notary in every library, and we provide free notary service to the community. And it's just one of those things. It was like, no one else is doing notaries. We need to do this. So we just did it.
And Andrew, if I
know that.
might real quick, I apologize. I don't want to interrupt, but thank you for that service, the notary service in particular. That's worth mentioning. I'm not going to mention any names, but a couple months ago, we had a family friend whose dad needed emergency surgery, life-saving surgery, and he was scrambling to try to find a notary to get his daughter named or whatever he had to get named, and it was the Tawnytown branch of the library. They called me up. They asked me to come be a witness for the signature. But it was a Tawnytown branch notary who was able to make that possible last minute to make sure that he could get his surgery. So, seriously, thank you so much for providing that service.
That's great to hear. I'll make sure the Tawnytown branch gets to hear that as well.
And he's doing well, by the way. That's
Oh, good.
yes,
I was
yes.
just going to say, how did he do? So
Yes,
very
all is
good.
well.
Glad to hear that. And it's those small kind of services often that make the biggest difference.
Is it available all the time? Is there someone available? Or you have
Not
to make an appointment?
always all the time. We have a lot of, each of our branches has at least one person, and some of the branches have several. Like Eldersburg, there's 4 or 5 of them.
Do you
And
call
just
ahead or
call
should-
ahead
okay.
and see if someone's going to be in the branch. Is always a good thing. If you stop by and someone's there, they'll make that arrangement for you. And we don't charge a fee for it.
That's a fantastic service. I did not know that. Thank you.
And so for one last thing for the Friends, that we do want to make sure that you are all aware, so you should have received it in your email announcement about our annual meeting that is coming up. We have that once a year, and that will be on Friday, November the 14th at 1 p.m. at Exploration Commons. It's the opportunity to come together and celebrate what the Friends are. We have an amazing author, and please don't ask me her name because I can't think of it at the top of my head right now. But the other part is that we talk about the Friends giving so much. We're actually having it as a Friends giving, and we bring non-perishable items and personal items to donate back into the community. Last year, it was over 300 pounds worth of stuff that were brought in by our friends to be given to local food pantries. So we would love for you to come join us for some nibbles and noshes, and also hear an amazing author and just be able to meet some of the friends and hear the wonderful work that they have done this year.
Thank you.
Write that down. Thank you.
Let's grab a picture.
All right, so next up on our agenda, spending authority for substance use recovery treatment services program oversight and monitoring services. Celine, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, thank you very much. Morning, everybody.
Morning. Do you want to do the presentation first, or do you want me to read?
Why don't we go ahead and we'll start with the spending authority.
The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Department of Citizen Services, requests your approval to fund program oversight and monitoring services to the Carroll County Health Department for the Substance Use Recovery Treatment Services Program in the amount of $55,280. The Carroll County Commissioners and the Carroll County Health Department entered into a memorandum of agreement in September of 2024 to oversee the program and monitor the contract for the program. The primary service will be to work with Maryland Treatment Centers, the awarded vendor, to ensure contract compliance. This amount will cover the costs of administrative fees and program monitoring for the duration of its term. The amount is approved in the FY26 adopted budget.
And so we wanted to take advantage of the moment while we were here and we were asking for the spending authority, which was related to RSS, Mountain Manor Sykesville, to have Lauren McCarthy, the Executive Director of Mountain Manor Sykesville, come in with us today to share a little bit and just give a public plug to the services that they provide at Mountain Manor. Over the years, they have increased their services that they provide and the different structure of how they provide those services. And we thought it would be great to highlight those services so that the community is aware of what we have right here in Carroll County available to us. And so I do want to also introduce, we have some other folks in the audience with us today. We have Marie Liddick, who's the Acting Director of the Local Behavioral Health Authority. And we also have Susan Richardson, the Director of System Development and Quality Improvement with the Health Department. They are also part of the monitoring team, which we're here seeking the approval for the spending authority. So they would support that monitoring of the programs at Mountain Manor. And so I'm going to turn it over to Lauren, who thank you for on short notice coming in with us today and being able to provide a very comprehensive overview of the services that they provide there.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to share a little bit about our program and the good work we are doing. Like Celine said, my name is Lauren McCarthy. I'm the Executive Director for Mountain Manor. We also go by Maryland Treatment Centers, so we use those interchangeably. And I was asked to come speak a little bit about our programs that we offer in our Sykesville location specifically. Just some background, we've been partnering in Carroll County for about 16 years, I think since 2009, when the county put Shoemaker out for open solicitation, and we were fortunate enough to have been selected to be the vendor for that program. We've worked over the last several years to keep up with the trends in the county, make sure that our programs are matching the needs of the county. So years later, the residential support services was changed to residential care treatment services and put out for bid. We were again fortunate enough to be selected there. I think the last two solicitations, the county had asked that whoever was operating the Sykesville location would also operate the county's triage beds for rapid access and stabilization for people in crisis, in order to help keep people out of the emergency rooms and connect them to care quite quickly. So all of our programs are within one building, and so we have Shoemaker, Mountain Manor, Sykesville, and our triage beds there on Buttercup Road. We are a Joint Commission accredited, and we are licensed by the state of Maryland, the BHA, to provide both inpatient and residential SUD treatment. These programs are primarily SUD treatment with co-occurring disorder capable. There is a caveat to this, which we'll talk about a little bit later when it comes to some of the funding with the triage beds. We do operate fully funded through third-party reimbursements. So we're paneled with some commercial insurances, and we are a Maryland Medicaid provider. MMS is, again, that's the program that incorporates Shoemaker, Mount Manor, Sykesville, and Triage, is a 60-bed facility, and 6 of those beds are triage beds. We have 12 inpatient detox beds and 42 long-term beds. These are the levels of care that we provide at Mountain Manor, Sykesville. So all the way from 3.7 withdrawal management for someone who needs detoxification and medical stabilization. These programs tend to be, from a week to 30 days in length. What is nice about this program is that if someone decides they need to stay longer and they meet that medical necessity, then they are able to stay in our longer-term programs. Once upon a time, both Shoemaker and Sykesville were in 2 different buildings. So over the I can't remember the time frame, but more recently, over the last couple years, we were able to move those under one roof, which has really helped with continuity of care. This is just, some information on the levels of care. Again, I spoke about this a little bit, that we have 3.7 WM, which is our detoxification unit. Those are our 12 beds that we have there. Our longer-term programs are for people who have been stabilized, do not need detoxification, but are not yet ready to apply their skills out in the community. So they get several hours of treatment, medical stabilization with 24-hour nursing programs. A little bit about our triage beds. The criteria for reimbursement for triage includes individuals who have opiate use and stimulant use disorder. This is paid by federal dollars that are filtered through the LBHA from the BHA. For those individuals who do not have an opiate or stimulant use disorder, there is a small pocket of money that comes from the BHA that are used to cover these costs. Over the years, that money has decreased, so we're in a little over $100,000 for FY25 and 26. The triage beds are 4 days in length. That has also decreased. In previous years, it has been 10 days, so now we're at 4 days. Our triage beds are very important and critical to the work we do. They serve as a critical bridge between crisis and stabilization. This reduces the strain on local hospitals and other emergency services. It is also 24/7 access for Carroll County residents, which is really pretty remarkable. Not all crises happen, during the day. So we often get referrals at 11 p.m. on a Friday or, 1 a.m. on a Sunday. So I really just want to speak to that and the importance and really what it has given to the county and those that are in need. The goal is to stabilize and connect individuals to the next appropriate level of care, and or community supports without a gap in services. So this helps avoid further decline, strain on other county systems, and homelessness. A little bit about what the triage program offers specifically. We have a physician and 24-hour nursing care, SUD, and co-occurring mental health therapy and stabilization from a master's level therapist. This can include both individual and group therapy. We have recovery planning to guide ongoing care. Family involvement is always encouraged. Peer support services and case management are aspects of the program as well. immediate detoxification support, connection to medication management, and psychiatric services are also offered. And then, of course, linkage to the appropriate ongoing support services in the community. Oftentimes, when we have a triage referral, we are able to transition them into one of our detoxification beds. So that has also been a very nice feature of having all these programs under one roof. I have a couple of statistics that we put together several months ago, and I tried to get some stats for the triage beds for 25, but these are for 24. We had 31 patients who were admitted through our triage beds in 2024. 14 admissions were referred from Carroll Hospital. 2 admissions were referred from Mobile Crisis, and 1 admission was referred by the detention center. And the triage beds are for Carroll County residents only. 100% of them were Carroll County residents. Here are some very rough 25 triage stats that I was getting together yesterday. We are seeing a steady increase in community need and utilization of the triage program since 24. Right now, if we stay on track, we're about at a 20% increase than this time last year. As of September of 25, we've received 58 referrals. 29 referrals were admitted directly to triage. 15 were admitted directly to 3.7 withdrawal management, and 2 of those were admitted to our long-term residential programs. The majority of our referrals continue to come from Carroll Hospital, Drug Treatment Court, CCDC, and the Health Department, and other behavioral health entities in our community. Here are some stats on our Shoemaker program. So this is the short-term withdrawal management program. We had 143 patients enrolled in calendar year 2024. 8 admissions were from the hospital. 4 admissions were from the health department. 5 admissions were referred by the detention center, and 2 admissions were referred by drug treatment court. For our long-term program, so this is Mountain Manor Sykesville, which is our generally 4 to 6 month program. In calendar year 2024, we enrolled 150 patients, and 29 admissions were from the detention center, 11 were from the health department, and 3 were from drug treatment court. We've seen over this last couple years the importance of the collaboration, especially with the detention center, and getting people into levels of care. So that's something that I wanted to note here. As part of our ongoing commitment for quality assurance, we do routine feedback surveys for our patients. So these are 2024 stats of what our patients are saying out the door regarding their treatment process. So as you can see, 100% strongly agreed that the admission process was straightforward and simple. And this is really important when we talk about the referral process, right, for all levels of care. Specifically for triage, there is a referral process. So we do have a referral intake. We have made it quite simple, so it's not a barrier. It's about 3 pages, some demographic information regarding what is the crisis, what is the substance use, what is the mental health history and the medication history. Once we receive that referral, it goes immediately to our physician, and they review that within an hour. So we are getting responses in whether that is somebody appropriate for our program pretty immediately, and can get them in very quickly. These are just some other stats regarding satisfaction in treatment. And the programs in Sykesville are currently operating at about 85 to 90% capacity. with 60% of those being Carroll County residents. Our contract requires a 30% Carroll County residents, but we've exceeded that, and we continue to stay above that number. And we are a experienced and long-term Maryland Medicaid provider. All of our patients and residents are screened for medical necessity to determine what level of care they do need. And as previously stated, we are funded through third-party reimbursements, allowing county resources to be stretched in other ways outside of the triage. Just a quick plug, I added this yesterday. We had a really nice recent testimonial for our triage program, which is really, I work in several jurisdictions, and there is not this setup in any of the other jurisdictions I work in. So, the triage program in general really plays a vital role in our crisis response system and reducing the burdens across other systems in Carroll County. And it emphasizes outreach and collaboration and community building among all of our partners. And I'm very proud to say that the partners we work with have just been wonderful in the referral process. I mean, I think we've gotten a few recently over here, and it's just been so seamless. And I think the goal is to continue to emphasize the community awareness that this is an offering. And we have this in the county, and getting that word out. A recent testimonial individual said, "Triage allowed me to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I wasn't sure that I could see any light before it. Going to triage gave me the chance to recognize myself and realize that nothing is impossible. Had I not had that opportunity, I'm not sure I would have ever made it." And this was somebody who had, a real crisis going on and was able to access a triage bed within an hour and a half of the crisis. Any questions?
I just want to give a little background, and you have this in your paperwork, but years ago, we had the first heroin, years ago, in the late 90s, the heroin crisis. The Board of Commissioners back then and the community wanted a drug treatment facility. So the county built one down at Sykesville, and the reason they built it down at Sykesville is because nobody wants that in their backyard. But we welcome that in our backyard because we have Springfield Hospital there, beautiful campus. We've always welcomed difficult challenges on that campus and been a part of our history. So it was built there right next to the prison, which is a perfect site, I think, because you got a choice between prison, mental health for life, or getting treatment at the treatment center. So it's a real stark reality of what's around you. So I just think it's perfectly located. It's hidden, sort of. No one even really knows that it's there. But there's been a series, as you know, of with Shoemaker House. It was one of the buildings on the campus at Springfield that was run jointly with the hospital, the health department and the state. It wasn't in the greatest shape. It needed a lot of work. So now, as you mentioned, you guys took over. The county decided to send it out to you, and it's worked beautifully. But we have invested. I think we maintain the building. We're still responsible for that, the utilities. So there's still an investment. I hadn't heard a lot about it over the years after COVID, like what was going on with Shoemaker and whatever. I know there was a discussion last year about needs for beds for sober beds, which is really your triage beds, right? To sober, you're going through an incident and you need to go somewhere, and there was an expression of need. And I'm thinking, well, we have these beds down at Sykesville. Why do we need beds somewhere else, which was going to be up here in Westminster, and it was going to be problematic. So, I looked into it, and I asked, we serve, Commissioner Guerin and I serve on the drug treatment, they changed the name, Drug Prevention Task Force. Is that what we are, Celine?
It's the overdose response.
Overdose Prevention Policy Group. Sorry, they changed it. So we serve on the Overdose Policy Prevention Group, and I asked you guys to come out, or I asked them to put you on the agenda back in May, and I don't know if you were on the call, but there were a lot of people on the call that did not realize you did 24/7 intake. So there were some limitations people perceived. And I was so impressed that day with the presentation. I printed it out, talked to some of my colleagues about it that didn't know about it, my colleagues in the General Assembly, because they didn't know about it. And I think as a result of that in May, even law enforcement was not aware of the 24/7 and about what you do. And the other thing that I was very impressed with is that once you do the intake, the lead to treatment is right down the hall. It's not like you have to go home, say, let me think about it, no, I want to do this, and you never show back up for long-term treatment. So the success rate in the pipeline is very good. And I just want to make sure that we are, people are made aware of it, and that's why I asked to be a little more in-depth versus just signing this contract, people saying, what's that for? It's a good investment, but we want to make sure that people know about it. So this critical bridge between crisis and stabilization, and what's a crisis? A lot of times a crisis is you've just overdosed, somebody gives you Narcan, you're back, you don't want to go to the emergency room, or you've been to the emergency room, but you don't want to do anything. Well, if there's another choice of something that seems a little less confrontational, there might be the choice of either the police officer, the EMS, the parent, whoever, say, hey, this is an opportunity, and we need to make sure they know that opportunity is right there at that moment when someone may want it. And then you guys, with your wonderful magic, can hopefully help to get them stabilized and agreeing to treatment. And I think there's, there's no gap in the services. And I think that's really, in the emergency room, you go in, they stabilize you, and they have to let you go. And then you go home, and it repeat. So what I would like to ask of you, this is a great presentation. I'm really a fan of this program and what you've done with it. But we need to get the message out more. So I'm asking, I see Chief Robinson there and some folks from EMS, and if we can get this presentation sent out, and even I think it'll be up on the website with today's agenda, but push it out. It gives so much information, and exactly if an EMS person, how do they give that information to the person that they've treated, and they say, we don't want to go to the hospital. Hey, if you want to do this, give it to the parents. And I notice, so if you could push it out to law enforcement, EMS, I know you said it's been increased since last year. Hopefully it's because of the awareness that was made at that May meeting. Because the 24/7 piece, it doesn't always happen from 9 to 5, so knowing that you can get the intake. But you mentioned, in here it says something about residents 18 and older. What if you're under 18, what happens?
They aren't eligible for services at our location. However, that does not mean that we can't assist them getting to a location that can help. Organizationally, we have an adolescent detox unit. It is in another county, but oftentimes we are linking people in this county who, under 18 who need detox to that location.
So if somebody, if it's a 17-year-old and somebody goes out and they're 17, what would they tell them? Would they still take them there? You give them what happens?
No, that they couldn't go to that site. Okay. I would have to get involved, and we'd have to make a referral to one of our other locations.
So they would still contact you, not, okay. So that's something I think should be mentioned in that. I just think I think we're increasing our utilization, it looks like, but I still think it's an underutilized opportunity. And even Nexus, Carol did not realize you turned to 24/7. So that's a really big deal, because it usually does happen at night. So, and the fact that you are referring people within the hour, the turnover time, you've got to have some type of referral.
Yeah, we have a referral, and I will make sure that is continuing to be distributed, but we have a very easy referral. It's just a PDF link. It takes you right to it. And recently, in the last probably year, people are really using that quite seamlessly.
And do you guys have any kind of follow-up on patients when they get discharged, after discharge with the?
Yeah, part of our quality assurance is attempting to follow up with patients, whether they, if they go to another program, whether they stay in one of our programs, an outpatient, we do routine follow-up on them.
Okay. So I believe this is a great investment of money, and we need to, not just this money, but what we do, but we need to make sure we're fully utilizing it, and that all of our partners know what to do, that this is available. I don't know if you can get a hand card to give to somebody or whatever, but in this presentation really has a lot of details in it about what you all do. So I would spend a lot of time putting it together, but it'd be worth it to push it out there. Thank you very much.
And a lot of what we do too is to share the information and continue to reshare it with our community partners. Some of our distribution lists, especially our Circle of Caring homelessness board, and that's a large distribution list, and we'll share this with them again now. It's very timely to just have a reminder of how these referrals can come in and the access people have to get there.
And I know there were some law enforcement from some of the towns that weren't aware of it, and they were pleased that they had another option. So
And I think as we have newer staff coming into some of our agencies and we have some folks
That's why we just got to
retiring,
keep talking about it.
Yep.
And I suggested even having a field trip. I know you say come anytime, but when you say that, nobody does it. Sometimes you just have, I know my delegation members last spring asked me to arrange something for them to come down, and I have not done that either. So it just, that way we can see it. I mean, I've been there several times over the years, but that way they can see, you know, what our investment is doing down there and see it in action.
I move the Board of Commissioners approve spending authority for oversight and monitoring services for substance use recovery treatment services program to the Carroll County Health Department in the amount of $55,280.
Second.
So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Up next, we have grant approval to submit petition for additional funding for Carroll Community College systemic renovations. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Again.
So we are here today to have the commissioner sign a petition for a grant with the Maryland Higher Education Commission. This is related to systemic renovations over at the Carroll Community College. A letter of intent was signed by all 5 of you back in July, and this is part of the process when we're asking for additional state funds at the Carroll Community College. Just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a background, the systemic renovations included a envelope redo at the college that was done back in 2020, a fire alarm upgrade that's actually in construction right now, and a boiler chiller replacement over at the community college. So we opened bids back in August for the boiler chiller replacement, and we realized that we needed additional funds to make this happen. Currently, the boiler and chiller are original to that building. They serve 6 of the 8 buildings at the community college. And according to facilities, whenever they do need replacement parts, they are refurbished parts. So this is a high priority over at the college. There is no redundancy built in currently at the college, and it is a 24/7, 365. So even though it is the winter, we're still operating our chillers. Even though it's the summer, we're still operating our boilers to run the HVAC equipment appropriately over there. So today we are here for you guys to sign the petition, and in a couple weeks you will hopefully see us for the contract to the contractor.
A motion or any discussion?
I move the Board of Commissioners approve and sign the petition to the Maryland Higher Education Commission requesting additional funding for Carroll Community College systemic renovations.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Up next, approval to purchase for Fleet and Warehouse 1 Horton ambulance replacement.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, everybody.
Morning, Ryan.
Good morning.
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 The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Division of Fleet and Warehouse, requests your approval to purchase 1 Horton Model 603F ambulance from Fesco Emergency Sales for the Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Services in the amount of $374,059. The cost is expected to be partially covered by insurance. Once that dollar amount is known, we anticipate a budget transfer to cover the difference.
This ambulance will replace the unit that was recently deemed a total loss. It is currently being used by Fesco to demonstrate their available products and models to prospective and returning clients. Because it is considered an active part of their inventory, it is not tied to any existing contracts. However, Fesco is offering to sell it to the county at a discounted demonstrator price. This option not only provides substantial cost savings, but also allows for immediate delivery. The ambulance will be available for service within a month compared to the typical 2-year wait time for a newly ordered unit.
Any discussion or motions?
I move the Board of Commissioners approve the purchase of 1 Horton Model 603F ambulance from Fesco Emergency Sales for the Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Services in the amount of $374,059.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion?
One question. There, it says here, should be partially covered by insurance. When will we know, when do you know that? And what's the expectation?
So, right now, it's still out for investigation, and we are not allowed, well, I should say, not everybody is allowed into the unit to determine the total loss value of everything. So that is, right now, unfortunately, it's being tied up.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for expediting this. It sounds like you got a good deal and don't have to wait 2 years to replace it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, like sign. So carried. Thank you very
I've got a
much.
question.
Thank you so much for your time.
How are our ambulance drivers doing? Are they healed?
They're both still off on injured leave, so they're in
They're
the
expected
process
to
of
recover?
physical thank and other medical follow-ups. We hope for their return within the next month or so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
For
very
your
much.
time.
Thank you.
Deb, do we have anybody here for public comment?
We do not.
Chris, do we have anyone on the phone for public comment?
Yes, we do. I believe we do. And if you can use star six to unmute, we will have public comment. You please state your name. You'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
we
ma'am.
can.
Yes, Catherine Adelaide, calling as a private citizen. So I thought there was supposed to be a public hearing on the use of the pot proceeds. I know it's not a question and answer, but somebody should be able to answer that question, not just, I mean, I would have liked to make my public comment on item 2 before the vote occurred. So,
So that'll be next
Public
week. If
hearing was-
it'll be next week for that public hearing.
well, what's the difference between what was authorized today and what's happening next Thursday?
Totally, no, that's completely different. Yeah, I think I think you might be conflating the two, and I appreciate the call, but that was a completely separate issue regarding a facility in Sykesville.
No, she was asking the one that was, I think, a couple weeks ago. Did we put it off? I'm trying to remember. There was something about the proceeds of the.
Yeah, that's.
That was a different issue.
That's scheduled for the 23rd.
Scheduled for the
that is next-
23rd.
That is next Thursday, a week
Right.
from today.
I think she's asking if it was supposed to be
Okay,
scheduled. I
okay,
don't
so
remember.
the 23rd was that the original public hearing? The last time, last week when I was on, the administrator was going to do a 2-hour work session, and I had a problem with it because it had been legally advertised. So that public,
Is it next week?
that public session is still going to go on the regular time. In other words, you're not going to go to this 2-hour work session thing next week, or are you? I'm still confused about that.
I think our meeting is going to be starting at, am I right, 1 o'clock next week?
Yeah.
1 o'clock next week.
Right, in a couple of minutes, we'll go into agenda review for the following 2 weeks.
Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt your time. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess I thought this was that. And so the procedure for advertising, once that was done, you know, it shouldn't be changed unless it was re-advertised again. So I guess somebody needs to deal with that, but I couldn't get people to show up. I'm sorry, and I did get confused when I saw this. I thought today was the public hearing. So I'm glad I didn't miss that. But it was originally advertised. I mean, you can double check. It seemed like it was originally advertised for the regular morning session on next Thursday. So I'm concerned about people getting notice of that. I know you've all been pretty sensitive to making sure that people, get notice of these things. Is it going to be re-advertised, or in other words, people come to me and want to know, and if they want to come to this public hearing, they should now come at 1 o'clock if they want to give a public comment.
Yeah, I think all the meetings are put out on Friday, the schedule for the following Thursday. So every Friday, I think it's confirmed that stuff is going to be on the agenda. So I would always go to the Friday before, which gives people plenty of time to be ready for the next Thursday. So that's what I look at on Friday.
Right, but the problem is with public hearings is that they're supposed to be advertised a certain way, and this one already was advertised, so I didn't know if it was going to be, I mean, as long as it's confirming, I'll let people know that I know who are interested in it, but I would just check with your lawyer about when something's legally advertised and then it's changed, probably should be advertised again.
Okay.
So I will save my,
I'll just mention that
I'll save
we're
it. I don't
required,
have a timer.
we're required to advertise 24 hours ahead for agendas. That was a bill I put in a long time ago to make sure, because they used to be able to post it on the door by law, and we changed it to at least 24 hours ahead. Now we do it 5 days ahead. So I think if everybody looks the Friday before to see when things are going to come up, then you know it's confirmed. I don't know. I'll have to look back. I don't know what you're referring to about being earlier than that, but Friday before.
I thought there was a statute. Yeah, I thought there was a statute
I don't think
for
so.
advertising public hearings. I just remember that your attorney had said it had been advertised, and then the timing got changed on it. So I'll follow up again. My apologies. I'm glad I didn't miss it.
Next Thursday, 1 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other public callers, Chris?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. We move into administrative open. Anybody have anything for admin open? All right, then Wanda, would you please come on down and we'll start going through our agenda review for the next 2 weeks.
Good morning, Wanda.
How are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Doing well, thank you very much. All right, so for next week, Monday, October 20th, shows nothing. Tuesday, October 21st, Chamber of Commerce Annual Membership Meeting with guest speaker Anirban Basu with Commissioners Gordon, Kyler, and Krebs. 9 o'clock a.m. Planning and Zoning Commission with Commissioner Gordon. 2 o'clock p.m. Veterans Advisory Meeting with Commissioners Gordon and Kyler. 4:15 p.m. Groundbreaking for Carroll County Community College Sports Complex Turf Field, Commissioners Gordon, Kyler, and Krebs. Wednesday, October 22nd at 12:30, the Carroll County Recreation and Parks Advisory Board meeting with Commissioners Kyler and Krebs. 2:30 p.m., Carroll Lutheran Village 45th Anniversary with Commissioners Gordon and Kyler. And at 4:30 p.m., the Carroll County Women's Conference Second Act Honoring Her Story with Commissioner Gordon. Then on Thursday, October 23rd, and I want to, anybody who's listening, we're trying something a little different on Thursday the 23rd with how we're ordering the events of the day. So obviously 8 o'clock a.m. we'll have our closed administrative session. At 9 o'clock a.m. we are going into a work session at which we will be discussing cluster subdivisions, but because this is a work session, there will be no public comment. Then at 1 o'clock p.m. we will reconvene under normal business and open session, beginning with Priority Carroll, Proclamation for Economic Development Week, State FY26 State Courthouse Security Grant Application, item number 4, State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund update. Item number 5, this is what I believe what the caller was referring to, the public hearing for the Maryland Cannabis Administration Community Reinvestment and Repair Fund. So again, that's the public hearing, and we figure that'll be about 1:40 p.m. Next up would be the discussion for expanding the scope of the turf field project at the community college. Item 7, approval to submit the FY25 Family Self-Sufficiency Program Renewal application. Item number 8, briefing and discussion on Chapter 156, Adequate Public Facilities and Concurrency Management. Item number 9, comment letter for the City of Westminster for annexation number 89, Knit Center Park Condominium. Item number 10, contract renewal emergency notification system. Item number 11, replacement of water service laterals within the Freedom District Service area. Item number 12, contract approval for the removal and replacement of fuel island tanks. Obviously, we'll also have public comments, administrative open, agenda review. Friday, October 24th shows nothing. Saturday, October 25th shows nothing. And Sunday, Commissioner Vigliotti has the podcast. Any corrections for that first week? So then the following week. Monday, October 27th shows nothing. Tuesday, October 28th, 12 o'clock p.m., Historical Society of Carroll County Annual Meeting, the Westminster Riding Club, Commissioner Gordon. Wednesday, October 29th shows nothing. Thursday, October 30th, closed admin at 8 a.m., 9 o'clock a.m., we go into open session. And so it looks like tentatively right now we have a work session for development rights and responsibility agreements at 9:30 a.m. And if that does not change, that will be a work session and there will be no public comment. And again, if nothing changes prior to this, at 1:00 p.m. we will go into our regular open session to have Priority Carol beginning with that, and then at 1:30 we'll have discussion and decision for an exercised option to purchase the Alice Edwards property through the county program. We'll have public comment, agenda review. 3:30 p.m. We will be meeting with the M.CTP tour. Commissioners Gordon, Guerin, Kyler, Krebs, Ziegler, all of us will be present for that. That'll be at 3:30 p.m. Friday, October 31st, Halloween shows nothing. Saturday, November 1st, the Carroll Hospital Auxiliary Secrets Beneath the Tides at Shipley Arena currently shows nobody attending that.
Well, I'm attending
You're
that.
attending? Okay, so Commissioner Krebs will be there. And then Sunday, November 2nd, Commissioner Kyler has the podcast, and Commissioner Kyler will also be at the Eagle Scout Court of Honor for Colleen Walsh in Hempstead. Any changes, corrections, modifications for our second week?
I just have a question about the work sessions. It's something new that we're doing, and I really appreciate it. I think it's necessary. We could do it every week and enough topics. But at some point, I know there's no participation. I guess that's how it's been historically done. But at what time, at what point on those issues can someone weigh in on them? And whether it's verbally or in writing, they can anytime. But obviously, there might be some interest. Is there a point in time where they just come to the next meeting and just do it in the 3-minute? Or what's the view on just how we'd get some comments on some of that work session
So
material?
typically, the way it's worked in the past is we've had the work session. Commissioners will agree on a course of action. By law, by ordinance, it'll be forwarded to the Planning and Zoning Commission for advisement, for referral. But then it comes back to the board, and we have another public hearing on it, any change at all on an ordinance or a code or something to that effect. So at that point, the public will have ample opportunity to weigh in on any changes being reviewed and considered by the board.
And I would suggest that it's, in some point, it'd be nice to have input as we go in. Before we're going to send it to the Planning Commission.
Yeah.
I'm very hopeful we're going to send it as we would like it, because at the end of the day, we're the body that makes a decision, not the plan. Nobody elected the Planning Commission. They elected us to send what we're trying to do to the Planning Commission. So it seems to me we would try to get some type of input, whether it's later in the day or in writing, about what we've talked about at the work session, so that we could get it right, because we might not know.
Yeah.
And because the Planning Commission, again, I think we have broadened what their role is and should be. Their direction comes from the elected Board of County Commissioners, which it should. And we've got to make sure that occurs. We're not just saying, hey, go look at that. We're saying, go look at that. This is what we want you to do. Let us know how to do it.
Yeah.
And then it comes back to us in a form that's been vetted by us, the elected body, based on the needs of our area.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that segues a little bit into some discussions we've been having about how better ways to use our the Carroll Connect. And we've already spoken as a board of utilizing that better to inform people about public hearings and notices of things that are going on. So we'll have to get an update on that, but that is a fantastic tool. If anybody was tuning in a couple of weeks ago, I think the quote was it 10 or 15,000 subscribers or something like that for Carroll Connect.
Right.
We encourage anybody and everybody who's listening to go ahead and sign up for those notices. That you'd receive information from the county daily, whether it's Rec and Parks or Citizen Services, and what we're trying to accomplish at this point is use that better means of communication to let people know about these hearings ahead of time so they can chime in. Of course, they can always send emails to the commissioners. That's an easy way to do it. But I couldn't agree more that process needs to be more open and transparent.
And on top of that, one reason I haven't been pushing Carroll Connect yet is because I still don't think this stuff is being uploaded from the planning department. And that's the most important for the hearings. Over and over, people have said, oh, nobody shows up, nobody weighs in. That's because it was never being pushed out. It was never going, when you check off the box to get all the things for planning, there was never anything going out, ever, for planning, for the agendas, so we need to make sure. I still have not seen that. I'm still signed up. I still sign up as like a citizen would. We need to make sure that when somebody thinks they're getting this stuff, and what I'm going to ask, and we can do it informally since we're not in the meeting, but we need a policy on Carroll Connect. What's the expectations? If we say we're communicating through that means, we need to make sure that the notices are going out. There's certain areas that do very well. The commissioners, whoever takes care of that, I think the stuff goes out great. You get the agendas, you get the follow-up, you get the notices, if you click those boxes off. And Rec and Parks, there's certain ones that are working well. Planning has never for whatever reason, was never put together. So we need to make sure when somebody checks those boxes off that, yes, there is a responsibility to get the agendas up, so people know what's going on, get the minutes up, and put links to other things. And I think we should get an update on, that's the biggest hole that I see, but it should be consistent, and we need a policy to say, this is the expectation. It can't just be when you feel like it, or it can't be 2 months later. Their minutes were from March, the last ones I looked at. Excuse me, from plain, well, March is not really up to date. So if we have that in place, the expectation is there, the public then can depend on that. It's just like these meetings. The public depends on these schedules. We get them. So I think it should be something in writing that we approve as our communication policy for Carroll Connect itself, and what our expectations are, and then each department, what the responsibility is, what kinds of things do we expect to be put up there. And I think it's a great system. And I know that IT and Chris Swam is eager, ready, and willing to make this all work. We just have to
give the direction of what the expectations are with it. So as we talk about that, and again, I don't want to push it too much. I think many more people would sign up if they were getting the type of information that, whatever their interests are. So that's what I've just passed that word along.
Commissioner Krebs, if you're interested, we could always add that to our agenda for Thursday, October 30th.
Okay, can we do that? Add that to our...
Policy for...
It might, I mean, if it takes longer than that, you might ask us what we want in the policy, or they can put something forward as just something to talk from, have a first draft, and then we can say what the expectations are. I'm hoping that our website and our push-out stuff is going to make it really easy for people to get information, and that would be the repository for people going right there, and they can click on the link, they can see the stuff, they don't have to call in, and then we can do the same. If we want information, we don't have to go ask for it, we just click on that link, and that's the vision for it, and I think it's got the capabilities.
So on that note, if I might, and I hope everybody's okay with me bringing up one more thing with the agenda, looking at the agenda not for this coming week, because we're already pretty set for that, but for the following week. While I understand and appreciate and respect having the work sessions, what I'd like to propose is that any normal or regular business we have, for example, our 1 o'clock open session has us approving a purchase for a land acquisition for property. And so my thought would be that those regular business items should come first, because we move through those relatively quickly, we can knock those out, and then we can still have work sessions or whatever the topic might be, but at that point, we're open-ended. We don't have, 10 or 12 things we have to try to take care of at the end, and that way we don't feel rushed going through an open discussion. Again, we knock out the simple task items that we have, and then we're able to talk about, for example, the developer rights and responsibilities agreements without having to worry about being back in session at a particular time or something in the case. I mean, I don't know how everybody else feels about that, or...
I think one of the concerns that we've had is we haven't been able to get the commitment for a whole day. And so we've got to say, and if you do it on the front end, we're at least getting that done. I don't mind keeping what we have as long as there's a commitment to having those work sessions, commit to the whole day, to Thursday, that we're going to get it done. Because like Priority Carol happens at the beginning of the business meeting, and it took 40 minutes today. It was 40 minutes well spent because we had a lot of good presentations and we learned a lot, but it's not as quick as just that one item because you're doing the Priority Carol part first.
Well, right, but I'm talking about purchases, that kind of thing, and my thinking is that if we are relatively efficient with those. And so we, for example, I'm looking ahead at next week, right? And we have the morning slated for the discussion about cluster subdivisions, right? All in favor of having that discussion, having the work session. I would argue, or I would suggest that we have quite a number of items after that in our afternoon session, right? I have no problem committing to the day. I would just prefer to do the regular business up front and get that done with. And then we would have the flexibility, the open ability to be able to continue on with the discussion.
I think, and again, I'm open all day. I'll be here 5 days a week if I have to. We need to make sure we can find the time to do the work sessions because I think they're more important. I think one of the thinking was that on most of the stuff on the agenda is pretty much it's not controversial. So you only need 3 people to get that to pass.
So, but the work sessions are really drill downs on forward, governing things, and we really should have all 5 people involved.
Yes.
If people want to commit to, yes, we will be there, so we can have these work sessions that are, there's a list of them. We could go, the next 10 meetings on some of these, because we haven't done a lot of them. But if we commit that we're going to get the work sessions done and everybody can be there, then that's okay. But I think what was thought, if 1 or 2 people then can't make it to the final in the afternoon for all these items, then at least there's enough people there to get it passed.
Well, and my thought on that would be, and I understand where you're coming from, so my thought would be that, the way that we would structure it otherwise, if we did those normal task items to begin with, right? We wouldn't have to wait for 1:00 p.m. to go back into session. Let's say that a discussion about cluster subdivisions, I'm just gonna use it as an example, took 40 minutes, right? Well, now we're waiting around until 1:00 in the afternoon to go into open session, whereas if we were to do the normal items first, then we can go into the work session immediately upon conclusion of the normal items that we go through.
I understand what you're saying, and I look at this, next week, we have 12 items, and we have Priority Carol.
Right, and I'm not talking about changing next week, because we're set for that, but for the following week, for the week of October 27th.
I can understand your point there. I think it's fair to say that we could consider some adjustments as well, but we can certainly discuss that. And
Okay.
it seems fair to want to try to front load some of the necessary items.
Sure.
So we can discuss.
Right.
So, again, I'm
Completely
just going to
agree.
say, to me, I don't mind where we put any of this stuff in a day. It's just it has to happen
Okay.
in the day. I mean, if it's morning, afternoon, I'm here. I'll give you my whole day. And everybody's got to look at their own schedules, and as long as they can commit to having everybody here for the discussions that are not just, these things are routine. They're already built into, most of them, and built into the budget. Some are informational, but there's rarely anything ever voted against. So just so we have the commitment, and I don't know everybody's schedules. Everybody's got other things. They've got jobs. We just need to make sure that the important work gets done. And some of the important work that hadn't been done in the past is now causing problems in the future because it hasn't been addressed. So whatever you want to do, just commit to the time of those work sessions, and let's get them moving along. And I don't care when we do this.
Any further discussion? Anything else for open admin? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, like sign. We are adjourned.